Chaotic scenes as students across the country protest over tuition fees. Thousands took to the streets, but police held the line during scuffles with protesters.
This is the ITV News at 6:30 with Nina Hossain and Mark Austin.
2 policemen were injured during clashes in central London, but the violence has not been on the same scale as earlier this month. This evening, the government said protest won't change policy. Also on the programme. Out with the new, in with the old, how traditional subjects are making a controversial classroom comeback.
Under this government, we can become an aspiration nation once more.
Guilty of rape, the policeman who preyed on vulnerable women while on duty.
And the miners' families praying for a miracle in New Zealand are told all hope has gone.
Good evening. There have been ugly clashes between police and protesters as another demonstration against tuition fees spilled over into violence and vandalism. Hundreds of people are still being held by police on the streets of central London tonight, scene of the biggest demonstration.
Protesters daubed graffiti on a police van and smashed its windows. Many appeared to be school children. There have been tense scenes elsewhere, with marches taking place in a number of other towns and cities. Reporting on the day's events, here's Juliet Bremner.
A symbol of authority and as such the focus of today's student anger. This police van was surrounded and almost toppled in front of the Treasury. Deep in government territory, a handful of hooligans, some no more than school children, covered it in graffiti and then looted it. Several thousand students congregated in central London, determined to voice their frustration at plans to make them pay more for university education. It was boisterous and initially peaceful.
It's not going to be easy for the other generation. Like, my brother is still in like 6th form. He's not going to be able to pay the amount that they're asking because it's just ridiculous. I mean, you can't pay that much. It's basically the rich get richer, the poorer get poorer.
But once in Whitehall, the protesters found themselves contained in a police operation that looked very similar to the much criticised policy of kettling used during the G20 riots. They prevented them from spilling out into nearby streets.
The students are now effectively barricaded in here between 2 lines of police. Officers are at the ready in case things turn ugly, but up till now it's been more noise than violence.
However, confrontation did occasionally turn ugly. Cans of drink were used as missiles and 2 officers were injured, one with a suspected broken arm, the other with leg injuries. In the middle of this chaos, we saw hundreds of school children. Some of them, like Grace and Sasha, just 14 years old.
So you've both taken the day off school. Do your mum and dad know?
Yes.
And what do they think about it?
They let us, so my mum was all for it, really.
This was a rally call to students throughout the country. In Leeds, thousands marched peacefully through the city centre. While in Bristol, they gathered outside the University Senate building, forcing the closure of many busy roads. In Manchester, as dusk fell, the previously good-tempered demonstration looked as if it might end in trouble. As darkness fell in London, bottles of water were handed out to hundreds still being held behind police lines. It was a cold, uncomfortable end to a day of protest that had again failed to remain peaceful. Juliet Bremner, ITV News, London.
Our UK editor Keir Simmons joins us now from Whitehall. Have police learnt lessons from the last protest, Keir?
Well, look, clearly containment like this is very controversial in some quarters. Many of the people that I've been speaking to here over the last few hours are teenagers, 16, 17 years old, and it is getting very cold. You can see people are very upset, many of them. I am told by Scotland Yard, though, that this isn't a toughening of policy, that they always have containment like this as an option, that they were worried there was going to be criminal damage. They also say that they are now beginning to let people out,
OK, well, for obvious reasons, we'll leave that there with Keir Simmons, our UK editor in Whitehall. Well, those plans to raise university tuition fees are the subject of our live web chat tonight. Do the students have a point, or given the scale of the spending cuts, are fees now an acceptable part of university education? Go to itv.com/news/live, where Mark Bergfield from the Education Activist Network is online right now, taking part in that debate.
Now, a major overhaul of England's schools was promised today, with an emphasis on better training for teachers, tougher standards for pupils and a focus on traditional academic subjects. The Education Secretary, Michael Gove, said the country could become a world leader in education, but one union called the reforms a vicious assault on teachers. Libby Wiener has been to one school to find out how the proposals are going down.
Ringing the changes in education. The new coalition government is promising radical reform, but at Willowfield School in East London, not all of it's welcome. Once a failing school, a majority of children now get 5 good GCSEs. On-the-job training for teachers is standard practice. Few here accept that scrapping course assessments in favour of exams would improve things further, certainly not the children.
So the Education Secretary wants to move to a system where you only have exams at the end. There's no coursework anymore, no assessed coursework. Who thinks that's a good idea? And who thinks it's a bad idea? So only one person agrees with the Education Secretary. The rest of you think he should go back to the drawing board then?
Yes! But like it or not, a return to more traditional exams is a key element in these reforms, along with more rigorous league tables and extra powers for teachers to discipline children. For the Education Secretary, it's a matter of economic necessity.
Under this government, we can become an aspiration nation once more. If we're to make the most of the potential of every child, then we need to learn from those countries which outperform us educationally and have more equal societies.
Labour fear it will favour only the more academic pupils.
This is a plan for some children, not all children. And the Right Honourable Gentleman will need to work hard to explain how his plan won't create a new generation of failing schools.
At Willowfield, they say what's holding them back is a lack of money and facilities.
Teachers here say their biggest problem is not the curriculum, but the classrooms. The school is vastly overcrowded, and they say the best thing that Michael Gove could do for them is to reinstate the £30 million that's just been cut from the school's building budget.
When I saw the figures about how much funding the school is likely to lose in the next year, I was devastated. But I've got 600 students out there, and my job is to make the best of it for them.
A new gym is the priority here, rather than new thinking on exams and teacher training. Libby Wiener, ITV News, East London.
Well, as you saw there, the head teacher in Libby's report is most worried about cuts to her school building programme. Before we came on air, I put her concerns to the Education Secretary, Michael Gove.
I think there are lots of things that we need to do in order to support great head teachers like the one that we've heard from. And one of the things that we are doing is making sure that we spend money on school buildings more effectively and efficiently. Under the last government, quite a lot of the money that was devoted towards school building programmes was actually spent on consultants. There was one guy who made £1.35 million out of the taxpayer as a result of these projects. We're reviewing how we allocate the money for school buildings to make sure it goes to the front line and goes to great head teachers like the one that we've just heard from. And once you've got great buildings, then you can concentrate on the most important thing in schools, which are great teachers.
But many head teachers will be bemused because, you know, here we are, in one breath you're cutting these school building projects at 700 schools, you're cutting sports budget by £160 million, and now you come up with these initiatives and you clearly don't have the money.
Well, actually, money for schools is going up. The coalition government is ensuring that there's more money for schools overall.
In your statement today, isn't the message to teachers up and down the country that they're simply not good enough? And is that the right message you should be sending out?
My message in the House of Commons was we're really lucky, actually, to have the best generation of young people coming into teaching ever. Our teachers are doing a great job. But let's be realistic. There are other countries that are outpacing us.
On our earlier story, there's real anger clearly out there on the streets over tuition fees. Isn't it time you had a rethink?
No. Our policy is absolutely right because it ensures that the very poorest students are better supported, and it also ensures that our great universities get the money that they need. It's right that education should inspire passion. And I'm very, very keen to engage with anyone who wants to debate about the future of our education system with passion, even if they want to engage with vehemence. But what I don't think any government should do is change its policy as a result of people protesting, and certainly not as a result of people engaging in violent, direct action. It's quite wrong, and we should not change our view as a result of that sort of behaviour.
The Education Secretary talking to me a little earlier this afternoon.
University fees are going up in Ireland too. It is one of the austerity measures announced today that are the price of a financial bailout by the European Union. In addition, 25,000 public sector jobs are going. The minimum wage will be cut, so too the welfare budget.
VAT will rise from 21% to 23% by 2014. Income taxes will rise and a new property tax will be introduced. But Ireland's low rate of corporation tax will stay the same to help maintain international investment.
A policeman who preyed on vulnerable women has been found guilty of rape and indecent assault. PC Stephen Mitchell met his victims when they were in custody at a police station in Newcastle, offering them help, then demanding sexual favours in return. Some were handcuffed when he attacked them. Neil Connery reports.
You don't expect a policeman to be doing stuff like that. A policeman, you know, he's the one who catches the people doing stuff like that, but he was actually going out and committing these things against women.
Like all his victims, this woman thought she could trust PC Stephen Mitchell. He kissed her and made unwanted sexual advances. Given his conviction today for 3 counts of rape, 2 indecent assaults and 6 counts of misconduct, including her ordeal, she feels sickened by his crimes.
Although I knew he was that kind of bloke, I didn't know it was happening to loads of other girls as well. And now I know how serious it's got with some of the other girls. I think, God, you know, I've been lucky that that was all that happened to me.
PC Stephen Mitchell preyed on vulnerable women while on duty for Northumbria Police. He would tell his victims one favour deserves another. He threatened one woman for years, but when he raped her in handcuffs at her flat, she went to the police.
Mitchell let down the public and Mitchell let down his colleagues. There is no place in the police service for such evil and manipulative behaviour. The actions of Mitchell are even more despicable as the public place trust in him.
Mitchell lied on his job application by not revealing his arrest and prosecution in Edinburgh for a serious sexual offence. The case went to court but wasn't put before a jury and he was never convicted. Northumbria Police say if they'd known, he would never have been employed. Neil Connery, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, grief and anger in New Zealand as, after another explosion, all hope is lost for the miners.
And we speak to the South Koreans forced from their island home by the North's missile attack. That's all after the break. Stay with us.
Dad, how does Mr. Christmas watch Sky movies?
In sparkling high definition, son.
You should check it out. I know him anywhere.
Merry Christmas, one and all.
Naughty. It's a nice touch. All together now!
This Christmas, enjoy Sky movies in sparkling high definition. Merry Christmas from Sky.
Argos it, and until Tuesday there's an extra 15% off furniture over £50 on top of over 1,000 other offers. So an extra 15% off sofas, lounge and dining, beds, divans, mattresses and bedroom furniture. Plus spend £100 or more and get a free £10 voucher. Find it, get it, Argos it.
Wii Console with Sports Resort, Wii Fit Plus and Nintendo Wii Balance Board. A fitness bundle with a healthy saving from Tesco. Every little helps.
At Dreams,
We understand the importance of a great night's sleep. That's why we have partnered with Temper to create an exclusive range of beds that mold to the exact contours of your body. The unique pressure-relieving qualities of Temper mattresses soothe backs and necks and help your daily stress fade away. Exclusive Temper beds, now available in-store and online. Dreams for a great night's sleep.
Every morning. Every day. Supple, healthy-feeling skin. That's the E45 effect. Even for eczema. Trust E45, the #1 selling brand for dry skin. Also in E45 lotion.
Fact. Germs such as the flu virus can be easily picked up and brought into your home, where they can live on surfaces for up to 2 days. Trust Dettol Surface Cleanser to kill 99.9% of bacteria, including the flu virus, to leave your surfaces clean and safe. No wonder it's trusted by doctors. Dettol protects. Fact.
The BHS 3-Day Spectacular starts tomorrow, with up to 30% off clothing and accessories. Up to half price on furniture and home, plus an amazing up to half price in our fantastic Christmas gift shop. Shop in-store or online at bhs.co.uk. Starts tomorrow.
Oh no! I've nearly run out of my favourite perfume. Calvin Klein CK1? Or wouldn't it be nice if someone got me some more Calvin Klein CK1 for Christmas? From the boots on the high street? The front by the makeup counter?
How about a new hairdryer for Christmas?
Get up to half price off selected fragrances that women really want at Boots.
Welcome back. There is anger and grief in New Zealand tonight after a second explosion ended any hopes of rescuing the 29 trapped miners. Police said no one would have survived last night's blast. The Queen sent her condolences to the families of the men, who included 2 Britons, but some relatives are adamant the rescue should have been attempted sooner. Lawrence McGuinty reports.
Relatives hoped, against all the signs, that their sons, their brothers, their fathers had survived. This morning, a second, cruel explosion turned their hopes to sorrow.
And I feel guilty. I've let him down and I've lost him. Shouldn't have to bury my son. Should be the other way round. Sorry, guys.
Sorrow was mixed with anger. Could any of the miners still have been alive after the first explosion last Friday?
They had their window of opportunity that Friday night, and now the truth can't come out because no one alive will be able to come out and tell the truth what went on down there.
Ironically, just before the second explosion, robots in the mine had sent the first pictures from inside. A crushed miner's helmet with the lamp still dimly shining.
I was at the mine myself when this actually occurred, and the blast was horrific, just as severe as the first blast, and we're currently now moving into recovery phase.
At Sandringham, Prince Charles was presenting campaign medals to soldiers from the Mercian Regiment just returned from Afghanistan. He asked to send this message.
I can only too well imagine the utter despair and misery that the poor families must have been going through during this most anxious of periods, and then to hear about the recent explosion in the mine was truly awful.
Looking at the video of the first explosion, it's inconceivable anyone could have survived. Now, after the second blast, that once slim hope becomes horrific. Lawrence McGuinty, ITV News.
Yeah.